we're definitely reaching some sort of bizarre crossroads now. Um, the fact is, there's this tiny little area in Northern California that wields so much power over all of us. I don't think we quite comprehend how much power they have. I don't think the average person really sort of thinks about it, or would be concerned about it. But it's going on. It's going down. Now you might think, what's this here? What's this? What's this? That's right. Omni Consumer Products, OCP. It's from the film RoboCop. You seen RoboCop? The good one, the original one, not the remakes. All remakes are shit, That's why people had a problem with Ghostbusters, because it was shit, not because of women or anything like that. Now, the point is, and I put this here as a sort of reference point, is OCP in RoboCop was like, this big maniacal. Is it maniacal? Just a corporation, the classic evil corporation that was just too big for its own good. Only did it own defense contracts. It owned the police, and it was RoboCop's like a great satire of shit, and I think, Paul Verhoeven, is a very liberal guy, or still is. He's still alive. Very liberal guy, and was very much opposed to that kind of. A multinational, evil conglomerate, big company just consuming everything and owning everything. And I don't think the opinion of that, a corporation can get too big. I don't think that opinion of that being a bad thing is a bad opinion. But it does seem that these days, a hell of a lot of people seem to be fine with these massive corporations sort of taking over everything. We're living in a very weird state where you've got very far left people and, sort of moderately left wing people who have just seem fine with these massive corporations just dominating everything. And they applaud them. In fact, they almost fucking worship them. Like, you got people worshipping the European Union. I'm not like, I didn't vote. I didn't vote to leave. I didn't vote to stay. I was like, I don't know enough. But I do know that it's just, it's kind of like being under the power of a massive evil empire. It does have that vibe about it. That's something I know. You look at it and you're going, these motherfuckers are too big. And it's very bizarre that we have this generation of people who just sort of worship these massive corporations, and yet they can call themselves socialists. But I guess, they love massive government, so then therefore it's the next best thing for them, I suppose. The point is, right now, people being deplatformed is getting rampant, and the fact that you can't post anything from InfoWars on Facebook unless you're condemning it is very concerning. It's like they're telling you, you're being dictated to, basically. And obviously, a lot of people have the argument, and it is a fair argument. It is, these are private companies. If they want to boot people off, or they want regulations on what you should do, that's fine. Although sometimes they don't really come across as consistent with what you can and can't do. But we live in a fucking clown world now, apparently. So everything's upside down and back to front, and nothing makes sense anyway. So kind of goes with the whole narrative anyway. But this is why we have monopolies commissions, right? Monopolies Commission in the UK, barred like Sky mergers, and they've also, I think, is it Asda and Sainsbury's right now trying to merge, and they're blocking that. There is something there, so companies don't get too fucking big. But the problem you have, because we live in this because the internet is global. There doesn't seem to be anyone stopping the domination of our thoughts and conversation, and like where we can express ourselves. And not just that, look, Silicon Valley has Twitter, Facebook, Google, and YouTube, therefore, and obviously Facebook and Instagram, Patreon, all these companies in this one very small area with all kind of one sort of mindset. You know, they all think the same. Very strange place. A place that celebrates diversity, but not diversity of thought. You know, aesthetic diversity is what they sort of crave for. You know, as long as there's like, you know, a representation of women, blacks, the blacks, you know, Indians, Japanese, whatever it is, whichever box they need to fucking tick. They think that's diversity, as in, you know, just the way you look, or your genitals, or if you like kissing boys or girls, or both. But that's not diversity if you all think exactly the same and all talk exactly the same. Which is why that NPC meme is so great, because it is just like we just don't have our own personality to go with, I'm afraid. We have a lack of personality, and therefore we are just one big collective brain of uselessness. And when you've got that dominating so much of our everyday lives, it's a fucking problem. It's a problem. Like, American imperialism is corporate imperialism. Now, I'm not an anti-capitalist. I fucking love capitalism. I'm balling, baby. But there's a limit to everything. And I don't like, you know, the fact is, the government work for us. Okay, this is something that gets misconstrued. This is what democracy is supposedly all about, is that, you know, they are public servants. You know, long gone are the days of rulers. We don't have rulers now. We have, you know, managers, really. But they don't. So the one thing you want to call them upon them to do is to sort of regulate this shit, or just have a word and go, no, we're going to make a law, okay? But instead, the government and other political parties, especially in the UK, are sort of just letting them do it. In fact, they're helping them do it. They're advising them. Nick Clegg's advising Facebook on, you know, who to get rid of, UK-wise, instead of looking at it and going, they have too much control over us. Why do they have too much control? It's not just down to like a public forum for where you speak, you know, which is the sort of first problem that everyone comes to. Because you've got Twitter, right? And journalists have become so lazy and shit that the way they sort of go like this, the way the wind blows, is they just look on Twitter, outrage on Twitter, and they'll just find one account with 40 followers, and just there's the proof of the outrage. But the fact is, if you don't have a platform on Twitter, then a hell of a lot of journalists are not going to see you as a legitimate entity, because they're not going to know what you're saying, because you've been silenced. And you can still say it on your website, and you can say it or any other platform they haven't been banned from. But when you get banned from all these different platforms because all the people that run them think the fucking same, it becomes a problem, because it is like a public space. It is a public space. It's a public space. And that's the number one problem, because deplatforming, it's one thing to say, you know, well, you haven't been silenced because you can go out into the streets and speak like this, but no, the world's changing. The world is changing, and this is, you know, 10 years ago, no one could have predicted when Facebook started, like 10 years ago, that it would become this, that this would be a thing that would be going on. 10 years ago, you know, we were on Facebook, it was just like, what is this? Putting pictures, people whining on it about shit, you know what I'm saying? Look, we had no idea it was going to apparently affect elections, right? We had no idea that our data would be sold off to the highest bidder. We had no idea that it would become so important, these social media outlets, for getting points across, You know, revolutions have happened because of social media. I mean, the Arab Spring, is kind of a failure, but at first it wasn't. It definitely fucking happened, and social media aided that. So you got to think about that, right? The Arab Spring. You know, what if they decided in Silicon Valley that everyone involved in the Arab Spring were thinking the wrong way? Were thinking the wrong way, and they didn't get rid of Mubarak and the likes. No, what then? Just because they don't think the same way you do and you don't like it, you're going to leave them, you know, they're unable to pull off this fucking massive thing and just, you know, continue to live under tyranny. Tyranny! Do you know what I mean? Do they not see that? It's a big problem because it does dominate so much of our lives now, you know. I mean, there's a couple of countries that recognize Facebook addiction, you know, Korea and Italy. There might be more since then, but that's the last time I checked. You know, it's an actual addiction. You spend way too much time on it. That's how big it is. That's how much it occupies your mind. And we can't allow it to be this dominant and this authoritarian. And the second issue, obviously, you know, Google is the #1 advertising platform in the world. In fact, it's not just advertising, it's an information supplier. There's a term. Google it. You don't know the answer? Google it. Their algorithms are in charge. Their bots are in charge of what information you get because they are #1. They have dominated and they have crushed competition. So they own the information. They're in charge. They're the gateway to mass information, to getting so much information. There's so much stuff you can learn and find out at the click, you know, at the click of fingers. And yet, they're in charge of what goes to the top, what gets pushed down. And they can, you know, they can suppress content because they have to. Because, I mean, for starters, terrorism, child pornography has to be suppressed. You can't have that just popping up. They can't have keywords. You can't have long tail keywords or short keywords. You know, you can't buy Google AdWords that says kitty fucking. Do you know what I'm saying? So they know what they're doing. So they can stop stuff. And then the third thing is, obviously, because it's an advertising platform, you know, it's great for businesses, you know. Anyone could, you know, start advertising for very little money, learn how to do it, instead of, you know, like advertising used to cost so much more money before, and now it's, you know, it's even out the playing field. Many people are getting rich off it, and it's great, but at the same time, they own that. And if they don't like your company because of you and what you have to say, then what are they going to do with you? Facebook is the second biggest, you know. Talk about Facebook advertising is huge. Although I've never found Facebook adverts to be that useful. But apparently there is a trick to doing it. I mean, so many people like put up, there's more adverts on Facebook on how to advertise on Facebook than anything else. I swear to God. But anyway, that's a story for another day. You know, it's a massive advertising platform. Twitter, still quite big. Instagram too. YouTube ads, obviously, which correlates with Google. These advertising platforms dominate the Western world and a lot of the other parts of the world. Okay? They own everything. Like, they have got the whole world by the fucking nuts. You know, do you understand? And now it's reached a point of, you know, fuck all the tax stuff. I don't give a fuck if they're cheating on tax. I don't give a fuck about that. I don't want them cheating on my mind. I don't want them deciding who can be a legitimate person, because it legitimizes. It's been around for so long now. It legitimizes you as a person, and if you're not there anymore and not out of choice, because people do choose to fucking leave it, you kind of don't exist anymore in the public realm because you've been deplatformed. This is a major issue. They're happy to take money off advertisers. You know, they'll take money off any motherfucker if you start speaking the wrong way. No. So it has reached a point now where something's got to be done. It's got to be done. All these companies got too big. Like I said, they all have one mindset. They're so undiverse. This is the joke of it. They preach diversity, and yet they are the most undiverse people on planet fucking Earth. There is no diversity of thought. Yeah, they are all the same. It's a problem. It has become a very big problem. They are fucking OCP. Like these, who knows what they're going to own next? And then you got Amazon. Amazon dominating e-commerce. Look how, Jeff Bezos doesn't think exactly too different from all those other lunatics. I'm telling you that. It's reached a point where it's not going absolutely nuts yet, but the signs are all there. What they're doing, when you start labeling like Milo Yiannopoulos, it's just basically like a fucking flamboyant troll, if anything. If that's the way, if that's the way you want to describe it, as an extremist, that's mental. Oh, come on, Milo Yiannopoulos is an extremist. Like, I remember when extremists were fucking extreme, blowing shit up and shit. But now apparently you just make a few jokes. You're an extremist. It's very bizarre. So many people have had their voices put out there because of these platforms, and now they're turning on them. They don't want you there because of this cultural war that's going on. And it might be time that the people who you pay your tax money to, who are supposed to be serving you and your best interests, it's about time they stepped up and did something about it. You say, if you want to operate in this country, Sonny Jim, then you're going to abide by these fucking rules. You ain't booting people off. You're not doing this. You're not doing that. Because they've become, the thing is, their brands are so strong. And it's very hard, when a brand is so strong, it's very hard for competition to come up. And competition has been stifled. And they've gone after the competition. They've sort of, look at the way they treat, like, BitChute, Gab, Minds, the way they look at them and the things they say that's being said about them, that's been put out there into public consciousness. BitChute is, the home of the alt-right or whatever the fuck it is. I uploaded BitChute. Do you know why? Because it's a different fucking platform. And, before then I was going on VidMe, and then that died on its ass. So I was like, oh, well, where's next? Like DTube, fucking Minds, and BitChute. Just want an alternative that won't fucking suppress your content because it's non-PC or non-family friendly or whatever it is they don't fucking like, because there's a hell of a lot of shit that they don't like. They're just a bunch of haters. It's very hard for the competition to rise up. The market has become too dominated, and obviously no one would have saw this coming. No one knew this was going to happen a few years ago. They didn't know how powerful Facebook could become. They didn't know how powerful Twitter could become. They just thought it was fucking silly. Just people talking about themselves. Narcissism. Like, who cares 140 characters of whatever the fuck you want to say? No one gives a fuck what you got to say. Now it's like, it's just way too big. No one knew. So therefore, they didn't do nothing about it. This is what killed the music industry. The music industry knew Napster was about, but they didn't do anything about it. They just looked at it and went, no, it's a fad. It'll pass. We're too strong. We're too big for this. What happened? Music industry's fucking dead. It's so dead. It's ridiculously dead. Because look at what money you get for streaming. The days of the money you used to get from music are gone. The only way you make money now is you have to tour for like 200 days of the fucking year. You know what I mean? Get a billion streams, you probably get £6.56. That's not a specific number that means anything. I just pulled that out of my head. They didn't see it coming, but when they saw it, they had no idea. But they didn't pay attention. They didn't pay enough attention. Right? We don't want social media companies from Silicon Valley to become the Napster of fucking thinking, the Napster of expression, the Napster of communication, to destroy that. No, that's how serious it could be, and it's already starting to look that way, and it's not too late yet. It's not too late, you know. We haven't entered the phase where we're gonna have to whore out our thoughts in order for them to be heard. So, you know. So why don't you go subscribe to BitChute and Binds, you know, and make a support. You know, go on, subscribe to the underdogs, man, and write to your MP, or do something crazy. I don't know, whatever you want to do. Anyway, hugs and kisses. Bye bye.